Hasan? Let's get to it. Vice investigation. Did Fox News melt this country's brain? The answer is yes. But let's see how.
And the fact that all machines can be hacked and manipulated makes the issue of hacking become...
Oh, not this country. Sorry, this specific county.
...facts. If hacking can take place in our elections, does my vote count? I don't think so.
More than 2 years after Donald Trump lost the 2020 presidential election, people around the country are still freaking out over the idea that voting machines can't be trusted.
When someone says, oh, just stick it in the machine and everything is perfect, we know it's not. Garbage in, garbage out. First thing we learn.
We're in very rainy Shasta County, California. This is a red Trump voting part of pretty blue state. And this county actually just voted recently to get rid of their Dominion voting machines. The company at the center of all of this, Dominion Voting Systems, says there's a reason this happened. All the conspiracy theories about voting machines. The county voted to terminate the contract with the Dominion Voting Systems. Did you agree with that?
Absolutely, I agree with that. 100%.
Why?
How am I supposed...
This guy seems like a very normal guy. Very level-headed. Very level-headed, normal guy. I can't wait. I love when the guy leading the charge looks like he'd be in Resident Evil fucking 7. You know what I mean? He looks like he's got the Unabomber chic going. He's killing it.
to trust any machine. They're constantly on the news saying Russia can hack our banks. Russia can hack our military. Why can't the only thing we don't talk about that can be hacked is the voting machines. Well, they can, and they were shown that they can be.
The decision to get rid of the Dominion contract was spearheaded by the chairman of the Shasta County Board of Supervisors, Patrick Jones.
I have questions about electronic voting machines. We're a small county, and I think we can return to hand counting. We have a serious trust issue. You know there's a serious trust issue throughout the United States on electronic voting machines. It exists.
Some of Jones's suspicions.
You know what's funny? It's still a red county, dude. Like, it's not like, did this county fucking lose Trump? That's not the point. No, that's the entire point. What do you want to win extra hard? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's the, if the county with the fake voting machines, okay, supposedly that were hacked, still voted for Donald Trump, then what are you saying? Like, you changing it to hand counting ballots is not going to change anything. Yeah, it voted 65.41% for Trump in 2020. What do you mean? So what's going to change? Is it going to be 65%? Did they hack it? But then they only lowered it to 61%? Let them do it so they have less stuff to complain about. I agree with you though. No, there are actual fucking serious consequences to this. Because this means every goddamn county that at the very least has enough fucking cranks or enough Republicans, which are synonymous with crank anyway at this point, can just literally make the process harder, more difficult, make the election counting process more difficult and more complicated, and literally, completely fucking dismantle our otherwise relatively safe elections processes. And that's probably what they're doing. They're going after a small Republican county so they can hit much larger places where Republicans control an overwhelmingly blue population. But because usually they're black and brown, poor, doesn't fucking matter. Or it's paired up with a much, it's districted in a way where it's it's basically redistricted in a way where the wealthy white Republican constituency ends up winning and putting more state legislature people to be able to take actions like this. It's at the heart of how the Republican Party operates and sidesteps Congress every step of the way. Aren't paper ballots just as easy to manipulate? No. No, paper voting is actually very safe. But what people don't realize is these are paper ballots. I'm pretty sure Dominion voting machines still operate with paper ballots, chat. You still fucking plug it in a piece of paper, and then the voting machine just simply reads the output. So yes, we do have very safe. America does a lot of things wrong. One thing that they don't actually do all that wrong is how protected the elections are. Yeah, it's literally a Scantron. Exactly. Is there anywhere that doesn't use paper? I don't know if that exists. Yes, Estonia, I'm pretty sure, does not use paper. But it doesn't matter.
Are based on quotes from a Dominion employee that one of their machines in Michigan was hacked. It's a claim that Dominion says in court filings was mischaracterized and distorted by Fox News. It sounds like this is your only sort of specific evidence that you have of Dominion.
I didn't say that.
Do you have other evidence of specific problems you have with Dominion systems?
I've specifically brought this forward with Dominion because that is the contract that we had. That is the contract that we eliminated.
As an elected official, should you be able to present evidence, though, of why you're making decisions like that?
Thank you, Revolution Ribbon and Very Confused MB. Very Confused MB for the 10 gifted subs. And Revolution Ribbon for the 5 gifted subs. Allowing 15 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour.
We have to approve a voting system for the residents of Shasta County. That's my job. And we're going to approve a system. And I would ask those companies to show me and prove to me that their systems cannot be hacked. So far, no one says they have to do that. So I'm not interested in your system. If you're not going to prove to me that you have enough securities in place to not be hacked.
A spokesperson for Dominion told Vice News in response to the termination of the contract that, quote, "This is yet another example of how lies about Dominion have damaged our company." And for some Shasta residents, these lies seem to come from one place.
If you owned a Lamborghini, right, and then Fox News told you can't trust your Lamborghini, would you trade your Lamborghini for a clown car? Then why are you going to do that to our voting systems? Like, we have something good already. And the whole basis of we shouldn't even be discussing this right now. This is ridiculous. This is based off.
I love how none of them are actually concerned about anything getting hacked. If they were, they would actually bring up the specific cybersecurity issues they're seeing or that are occurring in other industries. Also, fuck Fox News. Yeah, no, this is just like, yeah, this is people reacting to shapes and colors. That's it.
Off of disinformation from Fox News.
Dominion has sued Fox News and Fox Corporation, alleging they knowingly spread false information about the company's machines. Dominion says that by airing numerous false claims without pushback, Fox defamed them.
Our side does not believe your crap, which is why we're all here. You are making it so that our voting system is going to be worse. You don't switch from technology back to no technology.
The worry for Dominion is that Fox, along with others in the right-wing ecosystem like Rudy Giuliani and Mike Lindell, could help sow more seeds of doubt in their election machines, costing them more business. Dominion is concerned about its bottom line. And Kathy Darling Allen is worried about money too, specifically Shasta County's. Switching voting machines isn't cheap.
It's in the neighborhood of somewhere between $2 and $3 million. And that's a 10-year cost. So our goal is to have a contract in place for the life of the equipment.
Allen runs Shasta's elections. Before 2020, neither she nor the voting process in Shasta County received much attention. But then the conspiracy started. Why do you think there are people in this county who do not trust these voting systems?
I don't think there's a person in our country who hasn't heard something about whether or not we can trust the way votes are counted. I think it is extremely troubling, but this is turning into an American problem, not a Democrat problem or a Republican problem. We have a very serious foundational trust issue with elections administration. And the really hard part for those of us who conduct elections is that we didn't break trust. with the voters. We didn't break trust with the vendors or the candidates. Somebody decided to start lying. And those lies.
I can't believe that the pushback for something like this results in people unironically having to cape for a fucking voting machine company. I know it's just political proxy fight, but what the hell? I don't know what to say about that. You're right. It sucks. But it's just like nothing in America is really a good, real, hard-fought political battle on material realities that pertain to how Americans exist in the world. You know what I mean? It's just, it sucks. There's not really much you can do about that. You know? What is I wonder why is a balding injury gonna a balding injury? Why would that actually end up killing you? Okay, well, I'll free scroll. I'll look at that later.
Caught fire. We are now being asked, how can you regain the trust of the voters? Well, I didn't break trust with the voters. So it's a little bit disingenuous of a conversation.
I gotta pee again, goddamn.
There's a lawsuit right now. Dominion Voting Systems is suing Fox News for more than $1 billion. Do you see that as a turning point for accountability in this country around elections and trusting elections that are administered on voting machines?
It almost is like a new religion. Folks who believe that the 2020 election was stolen, regardless of proof or evidence that's presented to them. When I ask questions, I mean, they have an answer for everything, but that answer is never concrete. And there is never actual evidence that's presented because there is no actual evidence.
Do you think that there are people in this community that saw some of what was said on that television channel and maybe don't want to vote on these machines right here because of that?
It's entirely possible. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
We're a very conservative county, majority Republican. We do this work because we want to serve our neighbors and we want to serve our community. And we believe fundamentally in the importance of the work. And to be told after doing that and after... we work really hard.
In no way
It's
Japan
emotional
did
for you
this
to
man
talk
this
about this.
dirty.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not. I don't like to do this.
To make things as transparent as possible, Allen's office staged an open house after the board terminated the Dominion contract so that residents could see for themselves the options for the 3 state-certified voting machine systems, Dominion included. Were you surprised that the county voted to terminate that Dominion voting contract?
No, not at all. Not this county. No, they've been doing very extremist positions for the last several months. I think we're the laughingstock of a good portion of the country.
Dominion Voting Systems right now is suing Fox News. What?
I hate that they're making the sussiness of private corporations running software to count ballots verboten. 2004 member Shadow, Co. and Dem primary for Pete Buttigieg. We either need paper ballots or side blockchain verifying voting. Okay. Chatter, I need to explain something to you. All of the votes that you're talking about, with the exception of the Democratic primary for Pete Buttigieg, were done on paper ballots, including this county's voting process. Every single one of these votes in the United States of America have been conducted on paper ballots. Paper ballots are the safest way to conduct elections. Okay? They are. This much is true. For those of you who don't know, that is true. This is the vote counting machine. It's like a Scantron that you fucking plug in it and it counts the results. Okay? What you want to change potentially is hand counting ballots, which also happens in these counties because they will oftentimes, well, maybe not in this county specifically because Trump won by 61%, but oftentimes if an election is close, they will do a recount. They will sometimes do a hand recount. I hate to disagree with you, but there are a lot of states that use electronic voting machines with no paper backups. I did not know this. I thought that almost all elections in America were done on the regular paper ballot. In California, it's done on a regular paper ballot. This is in California, isn't it? When you guys are talking about electronic, I assume you're still thinking like you plug it into a machine, like you boop, 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 touch on a touchpad, but there's still a paper underneath it. We use paper. If you click on a machine and it prints a paper ballot, you never see there's a paper trail, but the voter never sees it. Yeah. In places where you press a button, wait, let's see. American states that don't use paper ballots. Oh, there's only 5 states in the United States of America, at least in 2018, that does not actually have a paper ballot. It's Louisiana, Georgia, South Carolina, New Jersey, which is surprising, and Delaware. That's it. And I did not know this, for the record. I had no idea. It's very rare. I assume the reason why they did it in like Louisiana and Georgia is probably, because they were defeating the paper ballot, or paper ballots lead to like results that we do not want, allegations or some shit. All of these states probably made these changes because they thought that this would make elections more secure, even though it makes them less secure. Deputy Majority Leader Reed Gusciora told Axios he plans to introduce a bill in the state assembly to back an election system that produces a paper trail of votes. Similar measure passed the legislature last year, but was never funded. 2018 article, there was a paper form that printed out when I voted in South Carolina. Wait, is there? Louisiana pushes a button on a machine with a paper on top. So literally, these states are also, I wonder if these states also have paper trails now. Types of voting equipment, optical scan, paper ballot system, direct recording electronic systems. DRE employs computers that record votes directly into computer's memory. These interfaces may incorporate touchscreens, dials, or mechanical buttons. The voter's choices are stored by the computer on a cartridge or hard drive. Some DRE systems are also equipped with a voter-verified paper audit trail. Yeah, exactly. The direct recording electronic systems still have some level of paper trail. Ballot marking devices and systems, and this one is like, it just marks the ballot. You click on it or you press into it, and it basically still marks a paper ballot. It allows for the electronic presentation of a ballot, electronic selection of valid contest options, and the production of human-readable paper ballot, but does not make any other lasting record of the voter selections. Initially used primarily accommodate voters with disabilities, BMDs are used by all voters in some locations. So what we're looking for is a DRE system that doesn't have a paper trail, which I don't think there is any. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Michael from Pennsylvania will correct me on this. But I thought that in the United States of America, almost all of the voters voted on something that would inevitably end up on a piece of paper. Having said that, Louisiana has DRE with no paper trail on this list. Okay, so with the exception of Louisiana, every other state has it? Like, Louisiana, DRE without VVPAT for all voters. Kansas has hand-marked paper ballots, BMDs, DREs with and without VVPAT. Voter verified paper audit trail printers. As of 2020, counties in Texas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and New Jersey are still exclusively using paperless machines, also called direct recording electronic systems. No. Direct recording electronic systems still have, as you're seeing in the article that we're looking at, voter verified paper audit trail printers. which means that it's not completely electronic. It's what you press still yields a paper result. New Jersey has a paper you insert before voting. This has been a major reform effort, I believe, specifically since COVID. There's been a big effort to use paper. I'm surprised that these reforms got this far. Okay, so yeah. Here. Hawaii has VVPAT, so paper trail, paper trail. Idaho has paper trail. Illinois has paper trail. Indiana has paper trail. Kansas has places without a paper trail, voter verified. Kentucky has places without voter verified paper trails. I guess. Mississippi has some places without voter verified paper trail. Missouri still paper trail. Nevada has paper trail. Yeah, ultimately, my point stands, which is that in the overwhelming majority of these places, including in this fucking county that they're talking about, they're using paper ballots, okay? They are. There might be an electronic component to it, but there is still a paper trail, as in like receipts. So it is basically the reverse of plugging in whatever you want to plug on a piece of paper and then feeding it to a machine. Instead, you're punching a machine, and that is still giving a paper readout. Okay? Okay, so paper ballots are not as secure as electronic. That is not true. Paper ballots are more secure than electronic voting. An electronic voting process would imply you literally have no paper trail whatsoever, and you have a readout, or you have a process where you go to a machine and you hit the fucking ballot. You punch no cards whatsoever. You just punch a fucking machine, and there is no paper trail whatsoever. It goes into a hard drive. There's only a digital footprint. Ultimately, you cannot hack paper records. However, this does not mean that paper voting, paper ballots don't have issues. For example, the 2000 election comes to mind. Florida specifically had a litany of complications in the way that the paper ballots were read. This is why, famously, in the 2000 election, there was supposed to be a recount. But of course, George W. Bush's brother, Jeb Bush, Jeffrey Jebediah Bush, was the governor of Florida. He held it up. On top of that, this matter went to the Supreme Court, which also held it up, while simultaneously, the very same people, including Brett Kavanaugh, if I'm not remembering it incorrectly, I hope I'm not mistaken here, it was Brett Kavanaugh, I believe, and Roger Stone basically went and created the Brooks Brothers riot, where they stopped a recount from happening. An actual recount from happening. They stole the 2000 election in Florida. Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and John Roberts were all on Bush's legal team. Yeah. They successfully stopped a recount from happening in Florida. And one of the indications that the readouts were incorrect due to hanging chads and butterfly ballots was that a heavily Jewish precinct ended up overwhelmingly voting for an open anti-Semite. That's where people were like, wait a minute, what the fuck? This can't be correct. Because the way that the placards worked made it a misinput, basically. Anyway, So yes, boy said Jewish like Kanye. No, not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it would have been ridiculous for a bunch of Jewish boomers to vote for like an open anti-Semite. It was obvious that it was a misinput. And like I said, ultimately the presidential election recount in Florida was halted, was stopped due to astroturfed. Oh, here's the butterfly ballot where Al Gore supporters accidentally voted for Pat Buchanan. Anyway, so like I said, paper ballots also have issues. The reason why I brought that up. But it's still safer than having no paper trail.
What do you make of that lawsuit?
I hope they take Fox News down for passing misinformation, disinformation. They have stirred up so much angst and antipathy and sore spirits amongst Americans. I think that's partly why I am supporting Dominion, because it's just upsetting to see what Fox News has been doing along these lines, just spreading lies.
We asked Fox News about Shasta's decision to terminate their Dominion contract and what they made of the allegations that Fox was behind the misinformation spreading through the county. They didn't really answer that part, but told us that the Dominion lawsuit was essentially trying to silence the press and is, quote, an unprecedented assault on the First Amendment.
As you're watching the Fox News lawsuit play out, they're proving that they more or less encouraged a false narrative, even though they knew it was true, that there wasn't major fraud.
What's happening in Shasta isn't simply a liberal versus conservative issue. Mary Rickard, a longstanding county supervisor and herself a Republican, voted to keep the Dominion machine.
Dominion's going to cash the fuck out. Their business model is based 100% on trust, and they're 100% cooked over now for some bullshit. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Paper ballots are very exploitable if you control all parts of the government and they don't give a fuck about your democracy. Supreme Court weighs on controversial election law case. Yeah, we covered it before. If adopted, it would give state legislatures the power to put in place all manner of election laws and rules without any review by the state courts. I think it's mind-boggling that, like, in the United States of America, there is no federal process on, like, election integrity, and that elections are streamlined across the board. It's fucking insane. I hate the notion that, like, each individual state should be its own fucking serfdom. It is truly some of the most backwards, dumb shit. There can't be a federal process because of the 9th and 10th Amendments. I don't care. I don't care. I don't know. Like, yeah, there can't be any. It's like, to me, it sounds identical to saying you can't have any sort of common sense gun control because of the Second Amendment. And to that I say, suck my cock. Anyway.
Is this a waste of money to be getting new voting systems?
It's an absolute waste of money. This is a very foolish decision. And I pointed out to them at a meeting, we were all elected by Dominion voting machines. So are you questioning the outcome of your own election? And I never got an answer.
Yeah, that's the funniest part. Remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking about how these elections are stolen? And then a reporter literally said, but you were on the ballot. Are you saying that you, like, won in an unfair election? And she was like, no, not me. That's how stupid this is. That's how fucking, like, that's how stupid these people are. They're literally reacting like a bunch of animals. I don't know how else to describe it. They're like this county is a perfect example of this problem. Obviously, I gave you the long-term systemic consequences of taking action in this way. which could yield a litany of complications down the line for other places, especially places where there's like Republicans in power, but there's a overwhelming amount of Democratic voters potentially. But this county specifically is one that voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly, and they're the ones who are changing the Dominion machines. And it's like, okay, but you won. Like, why wouldn't you lose? Wouldn't it be more weird if you lost and then you made this argument?
The misinformation around voting in Shasta County has left a town paranoid. Things have gotten personal, and people like Kathy Darling Allen are now the target of unfounded suspicions about how voting is handled.
Kathy Darling cannot be trusted, period. She constantly just shows retaliation. If anybody questions her, what she's doing, what's going on in the building, and, she just does whatever she wants and starts doing things without even the board knowing.
It's hard to feel sorry for folks who are given correct information and who choose not to believe it. I spent a lot of time in 2021 saying into the microphone, if you're on social media and something you read makes you instantly angry, check yourself. That is your red flag that this is probably some kind of manipulative, maybe not completely accurate information.